bringing back Jeff Booth. He is a technology entrepreneur, the author of Price of Tomorrow. Jeff, thank you so much for joining us once again.
No problem. Great to see you again, Nick.
Great to see you too, Jeff. I want to make this episode focused on why Bitcoin makes the world better. I think you are perfectly positioned to help guide our audience. We might have a lot of new members of the audience, especially that are looking to learn about Bitcoin in this post-ETF era. What is Bitcoin here for? And what does an ETF really have to do with Bitcoin helping the world? So maybe let's just start there. What does the Bitcoin ETF approval have to do with Bitcoin helping humanity? How do we connect those dots?
Do you mind if we start somewhere else in this and then go to ETF?
Absolutely.
Because I think it's critical to base this conversation. First of all, I think this is the most profound shift humanity's ever seen. I think it's more profound than the internet. I think it's more profound than any invention humanity has ever created. And the inventions that we create and the experience we live in our world are as a result of all of our ideas competing to be able to be found, and they build on top of each other. So it's logical that things would move faster and faster in time because we solve problems and then we move faster in time. And so that kind of the word we use for those inventions is technology, which is really just ideas that we create that serve us and serve us better. So that's where I'd like to start. I'd like to start that why would this invention or discovery make us change the course of history in the future? And you know my thesis, but I would say it's not a thesis. There's evidence for it everywhere if people look. But the prices fall to the marginal cost of production. Technology is deflationary, or a better way to say this is the natural state of a free market is deflation. In short times, you can have inflation, supply chain constraints, or something, but the natural longer term course is deflation because we solve problems. And we solve things that were once scarce, and we create business opportunities from them by solving those problems to reduce the price and create more value. And we've done it through our entire lives as humans, our entire human history. And the output of that is deflationary because we don't also on the other side of this. So I'm talking about the entrepreneurial process on one side, which is trying to capture more value in a free market and provide value to other people. But on the purchaser side or the user side, we only use things that give us more value. So it's logical that as more value comes to us, that we would use those things, and that reduces prices. And so for human history, that has always butted up against a system that is inflationary. Because if you can steal that productivity, even slowly, 2%, 1%, then that means you have a hidden tax, a hidden theft on top of all society, where you get richer while you're stealing that productivity from flowing to society. And there's never been something that could resolve that conflict because gold could get centralized. Other assets would get centralized, and they would build fractional systems on top to carry on that theft. And it's natural because human nature is natural. If you could control money and get a free tax on human productivity, then you would, right? And you see that repeat through history, and you see out of that repeating through history as wars are fought to be able to reset the structure and control the money so that the new person can have the theft of the productivity. And so we believe that society can't run without theft and money in it, right? So there's a giant belief around the world that inflation is required for a productive economy. And no one's asked the question, why? Because really what it says is theft is required to trade with people. It seems if you built a world like that, where theft is required to trade with people, then theft would expand. And so that's the world we live in right now, and we're measuring that world from the world creating the theft. And so it's concentrating, it's getting worse and worse, and people are largely, there's a bunch of conspiracy theories within that because they see that problem visible to everyone, and there's no solution from the system creating the problem. Bitcoin is outside of that system, and it has no counterparty risk to that system. It's rebuilding a new system in parallel that is just an honest ledger. And so that honest ledger, what's happening, and I'm going to say this, I say it all the time, but if it stays decentralized and secure and hard capped at 21 million, as I think it's inevitable that it does, then no matter what we do, no matter what, it is imposing new rules on the world that mean prices fall to the marginal cost of production and the free market is deflationary. And so you don't have to believe in that statement, but it's happening to you anyways. So if you don't hold Bitcoin, your prices are going up. If you denominate in Bitcoin, all prices are coming down, and they will forever. And so what that would look like, and if you just think about where we are, you could tie this into the Fermi paradox, you could tie this into a whole bunch of things, but where we are as a society is we're building a society that when we explore space, we won't be doing it in these bodies because the time and space is too long. We're entering a time where technology will do that job for us, and we might insert our consciousness into that technology, but the technology, robots and AI will do the heavy lifting on a bunch of that. And we're entering a time where all of that work is deflationary, and it gets more and more deflationary. It gets exponentially so as a result. And so we're into a singularity type event where us as the labor component of this of our markets is reduced. And if us as a labor component of the markets is reduced and prices don't fall, then as a logical conclusion, then somebody has to control us. So you either concentrate all of the wealth up into a certain number of people that control everyone else, in modern day slavery, or you let prices fall. And Bitcoin is imposing that, and it doesn't really matter. Like, that's why I say, my house fell by 270 Bitcoin in the last 3.5 years. Like, the cost of the house fell by 270 Bitcoin in the last. So my I can buy 10 houses for what I could buy one house for 3.5 years ago. And so you can see all prices on everything are falling, like I'm saying, but the only thing measuring that is Bitcoin. So what that means is technology moves faster and faster, and as a byproduct should be saving us more and more time, and we should have more and more freedom as a result of more and more time. Then that is happening, but it's only happening if you're measuring from Bitcoin, not measuring from the system that's essentially stealing from you.
So when we talk about the reduction of theft in the context of trade, what you're saying is that Bitcoin doesn't, if you value and denominate your own wealth or labor in Bitcoin, what you're not allowing is for the theft class to remove your excess time from you. Can you?
Yeah, and so again, people will go and people think it's just the theft class doing it, and they forget that they actually have a role in it too. Because if you're saving in that, let's use a real example today. So people are trying to stop their money from being debased by making more money, and they'll invest in Amazon, Facebook, Microsoft, essentially the Magnificent Seven. And if you took the Magnificent Seven out of the stock market, it would be highly negative. But people think it's positive because and if you just invest those, it's positive. So what are they doing? They're saying, if I hold my money in the bank, I'm going to lose money because money is designed to lose money. So I need to place it somewhere else. I'm going to place it in these companies, or I'm going to place it in my pension fund, that if the pension fund goes broke, then I can't pay my bills when I retire. So the pension fund puts my money in those assets. At the same time, those assets on the consumer side are removing labor to reduce price and give us more. So we use those companies at an ever increasing rate because they give us more value. At the same time, those companies are using technology to reduce labor to give us more. And if they didn't reduce labor, we wouldn't use them because the cost would be too high. So on one side of us, we say, well, why don't you hire more people? Why don't you do this? But we don't want that to happen because we wouldn't use the company. And on the other side, we're funneling more of our money into those companies because it's one of the only places you could protect against devaluation. Or we're doing the same thing in housing. We are, not everybody else. We are. We have to put our money in housing because if we don't, we're getting our currency is being devalued. So that housing attracts a monetary premium that hurts somebody else, that steals from somebody else because their rents go higher and higher. And then the jobs are going away anyways. And instead of letting prices fall, then we turn to government and we say, government, you have to solve the housing crisis. You have to create more housing units, and you should spend more money, and you should make up more monetary units to be able to solve this for those people. And all of the people at the bottom vote for, and it's crazy. It is crazy, but we're part of that problem. So you have a whole.
Jeff, you recently went to Africa to get involved in a Bitcoin conference over there to meet Bitcoiners and to see Bitcoin projects. Tell us about your experience, please.
Yeah, and I think now I've traveled to 80 something countries, and what I would say at the highest level is all around the world, people are exactly the same, or virtually the same. Same hopes, same dreams for their families. Many of those systems, many of the living conditions, or what they put up with, are atrocious. But when you actually, they're in oppressive governments or something else. But when you actually meet people, who people are, it's virtually the same everywhere, which is really positive. Um, if you think of what Africa looks like today from this system, if prices are supposed to fall, and we have stable currencies and they don't, it's because those currencies are designed to fail. And in other words, they're pegged to the US dollar, and there's no way out of a debt trap. So the IMF would go in and give them more debt, drive certain rules to consolidate industry into that, which mostly favors the American or kind of Western countries to be able to steal more, revalue their dollars. So in other words, their labor gets cut in half or three quarters, and then we steal from them faster. And then we wonder why they might get on boats with their families and come over to the places that steal from them rather than live there. And so we are a part of that system. Again, it's hard to, if somebody's hearing this for the first time, they won't want to believe it. And one of the things that's so hard about Bitcoin is it forces you down this path to realize that's the world we live in. And that's so our success is designed from their failure. The cobalt in our batteries for our electric cars wouldn't work unless we kept on revaluing their dollars down so that they made $2 a day in horrific living conditions. If the prices were to rise, it wouldn't work. It wouldn't make economic sense. So we turn a blind eye because it doesn't happen in our backyard, but it is our backyard that actually creates it for them. So we are responsible. We are part of it. And then we throw aid organizations to get tax breaks that make it typically worse, all while hiding from that crime. And so I wanted to go see for myself what people thought there, and how Bitcoin is making a difference in people's lives. And what you'll see is it's actually making the same difference it is as to Bitcoiners here's lives. And we're a globally connected community that's starting to understand this. And as those connections get stronger and stronger, there's more and more opportunity. I can pay people that I met there right now in a Lightning transaction for a fraction of a penny. And some of the talent there is extraordinary. They are also Gridless is doing Bitcoin mining. We went and visited Bitcoin mining, and one of the things that happens all over Africa is you have these white elephant projects that were funded by aid organizations putting money, like let's say a dam, and then the dam isn't connected to any of the housing because the cost to connect that is too high. So that they're paying $1.50 a kilowatt hour for electricity for the people that are, and nobody can afford that. And so Gridless is going in, a Bitcoin miner is going in and essentially mining the same energy at night during the day when it's not in use. And by doing that, and they might be paying 2 cents a kilowatt hour, but it reduces the overall the overall capital cost, or the overall operational cost of the business. So now the business can sell for 12 cents a kilowatt hour and connect way more people. So we saw a village that had, I think it had 3,000, it's a small village, 3,000 people connected to, I might have the number wrong, it might be 1,800, and they're connecting another 1,200, but who had never had electricity before. And they wouldn't have electricity unless there was Bitcoin.
In which country was this, Jeff?
And so that was in Malawi. And their currency just got devalued. They make $2 a day, average of $2 a day. And their currency just got devalued by effectively half. And so now they make $1 a day. And by the way, you go to this village and some of the happiest people you'd ever seen, and just beautiful people. But now they have electricity. Because they have electricity, now they have internet connection. Because of that, now they have health. They have health or medical. They have school for their children. They have so these are big deals. And Bitcoin is driving that because it's ever-ending search for low-cost energy. It's a market incentive to drive this around the world, and the byproduct of that market incentive is you heal the world.
And that's why Bitcoin makes the world a better place. Jeff Booth, we are very lucky to have you once again at the Bitcoin Layer, giving us your perspective and giving us technology history to help us understand why Bitcoin indeed makes the world a better place. So tell our audience, please, where they